This is King World News. I'm Eric King, and you're about to hear an incredibly powerful interview with Gerald Celente of the Trends Research Institute. He even gives King World News listeners a sneak peek into his fall newsletter, which will be released shortly. Remember to go to our homepage at www.kingworldnews.com for more interviews, where this week we also have Mr. Gold, the legendary Jim Sinclair from jsmindset.com, as well as Chris Whalen, Managing Director of Institutional Risk Analytics. And on the Gold Plus page, we will be starting a 4-part systemic failure series with Jim Willey of the Hat Trick Letter. Joining us now is Gerald Celente, founder and director of the Trends Research Institute, author of Trends 2000 and Trends Tracking, and publisher of the Trends Journal. He has been forecasting trends since 1980 and recently called the collapse of 2009. Gerald, last time you were on King World News, we spent quite a bit of time talking about the elite bankers and the fact that they were raping the American public. So I just want to jump right in here with the latest theft. As you know, it has been recently exposed that certain banking institutions have been front-running their clients and making money off their clients and other clients' trades through flash trading. What were your thoughts when you heard about this, Gerald? Because many are expressing outrage about this front-running of clients.
I say this often, Eric. If the names on Wall Street were named Celente, Caruso, Mondavi, Puccini, Rossini, Buttoni, Abatelli, Puccio, Rosselli, they'd call it the Mafia. But because it's the White Shoe Boys, and they give different names to Ponzi schemes, pyramid scams, loan sharking, and other dirty deals, they call it Wall Street, and they give them different names. As I said, they have auction rate securities, special investment vehicles. Hey, how about a credit default swap? I mean, this is nothing more than criminal activity being cloaked as financiers' business. And I mean, who could make up this kind of stuff? Flash trading. Come on. I mean, let's beat the table. I mean, anyone to me investing in Wall Street should really know that they're just stepping up to the gaming table in Las Vegas. It's no different. The inside guys, the casino always wins, and the little guy loses. Oh, they throw him a couple of bones every now and then, let them win on the slot machine and brag to all their friends, but in the meantime, they're losing it every round.
I was interviewing last week the author of Bailout Nation, and Barry was quite outraged about this as well. And I asked him, and I'll just put this on you, Gerald, if you managed money and basically you've got clients and you just decided to do what they were doing, which is just front run your clients and just make a few bucks the same way they were, they would basically take you and throw you in jail. But meanwhile, they had legalized theft in the form of $22 billion a year, where they were essentially stealing from investors, and it was legalized theft encouraged by the exchange because the exchange was in on it, taking a portion of the profits for themselves. Does anything surprise you anymore, Gerald?
I will read from the Autumn Trends Journal that will be going out in a week or so. This is the beginning of it. The greatest crime wave ever to hit America was sweeping across the nation. More lawless than the Wild West, better organized than Gangland Chicago, a ruthless mob of financial bandits and political wise guys had taken control of the United States. Not a week went by without Wall Street and Washington committing crimes. If perpetrated by individuals, the crimes would have been called robbery, extortion, embezzlement, felony, and fraud, and the criminals would have been indicted, hauled into court, and brought to justice. But because politicians and financiers were committing the crimes, it was called legislation.
Unbelievable. Just so we're clear about this, some of your clients, obviously, Gerald, have money with these Wall Street firms, and basically what they would do is look at these trades, and as they were coming in and the order flow was coming in, you had to pay money as these firms, but they would pay the money to get to look at these flash trades, and they would just go step right in front of them and charge them just a little bit more. Didn't sound like much, but they would steal money from them with the exchange's approval, because they were making money on it, to the tune of $22 billion a year. Doesn't this go back, Gerald, to your comment last time you were on that these people are criminal gangs and criminal syndicates and money junkies?
That's exactly it. That's what I said. You know, if the names on Wall Street were Italian, they'd call it the mafia, and boy, Hollywood would be having a field day. But for some reason, you know, they look at these people, these money junkies, as respectable. And again, they're robbing the nation of its, not only of its present, but of its future. And you've heard us say it before, and we continue to say it, there is no recovery. It's a cover-up. They're robbing the American taxpayer. They're taking our future, and they're pawning it so they can give the money to the too big to fails to bail them out and to keep these criminal organizations going. And I like to make a point here about this whole notion of too big to fail. This is America. You rise and fall on your own merits. There was nothing there to have said that if Merrill went under and the Bear Stearns gang went bust, or if any of them went out of business, that it would have caused the crisis that they said it would have. Because after all, the same people, the Bernankes, the Geithners, the Bushes and the Obamas and the Paulsons that warned us if we didn't bail out the big guys, well, they're the same people that didn't see the crisis coming to begin with. So how could we believe them? And here's something to really note, and it's going to be, again, something that's coming up in the next Trends Journal. The language, by the way, is almost identical between what Obama said back when he was candidate Obama and he was pushing the TARP program under Bush, and what Bernanke said several months later when being interviewed on 60 Minutes. They were both asked, what if the too big to fails fail? And you know what they did? They used a cheap little story, an analogy. If your neighbor's smoking in bed and his house burns down, are you not going to help him put out the fire, even though he was irresponsible? Almost to the word. Each one of these clowns uses this two-bit line that if they said to me face to face and tried to squirrel out of it with such a fraudulent analogy, I tell them to get lost. Who are you talking to, a 2-year-old? No, they weren't too big to fail. We have to give our money to the Goldman gang, to the Merrill Lynch mob, to the Bear Stearns gang. It's the greatest hijack and robbery in American history, the biggest bank robbery ever, but the banks are doing the robbing.